Story to tell.
When I was just 11 years old, I became a female advocate
To make a difference in as many children's lives as I could. Soul Sisters, a discourse on a woman on Smooth 98.1.
Okay, so we go in. That's the sound that lets you know that you are ready to discuss issues relating to the women. It's Soul Sisters, ladies and gentlemen, and you're very welcome to join us. You're listening to Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. My name is Oluwaseun, and we're ready to just continue the series we started about 2 or 3 weeks back here on Soul Sisters. It's the fertility series. We started with trying to conceive journey, the things you would not know and you were not told, or sometimes the things you do not get to hear often. And I had my special guest then, that's Loretta Olubumiamusu. Then last week we discussed a little bit about pseudo pregnancy and some things surrounding it. Now this morning I'm already joined by my special guest who's live with me on Zoom, by the way. You can join us. Just go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/smooth91fm. That's the channel. I think you should subscribe and click on the notification bell so that you do not miss on anything we have to serve you. So what that allows you to do is just watch what we're doing. Also drop your comments using the live chat option. And also you get to share with family and friends. You don't necessarily need to be in Nigeria to listen or be a part of the show. And you can also be a part of it on WhatsApp. It is 0809-444-0981. So you can join us right there. We are discussing assisted reproductive technology. We want to separate the myths and the facts just to create a clear divide and help you clear some misconceptions. And to do justice to that, I have Dr. Adeyeye Emmanuel Oluwaseun, although you did not tell me to include that, but I just had to include it so that everybody knows, yeah, we are namesakes. And he is a doctor. He's a fertility and gynecology endoscopy expert. I hope I got that right. How are you doing this morning?
All right. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for having me. Pleasure is all mine.
Yeah, and he just got out of the theater, so he still has his whole what's the word now? Scrubs and the nets and everything all together. Well, thank you for being here this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Michelle, for having me.
Settling down to the basics, let's even define it. How would you define ART, that's assisted reproductive technology, to a layman who has no idea whatsoever of technological or medical terms? Losing your audio.
Can you hear me?
Okay, this is way better. Yes.
Okay. So it's just simply assisted, and it's just the next thing.
The audio is not so great. It is not great.
Now?
Yeah, I think when you come closer to your device.
Okay.
Okay. I think, yeah, this is okay. We could work with this one. Yeah.
Okay, so assisted technology is just country intervention for couples who cannot maintain it. That sounds better now?
I think we might need to get you an earpiece or headset or something, because what I hear is the first sentence and then I lose the remaining.
I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I hope I'm not screaming at your video.
No, you're not screaming at all. So
okay,
this
I
is
just want to let you.
Okay. So do you want to try that again?
Yeah, let's do it again. So
okay.
I was
So
trying to say, assisted technology simply means assisting a couple achieve pregnancy. And why ARC, you wouldn't need ARC in a couple who is married and have kids, except when you're not family balances. That's secondary. The ideal thing is couples who are married for over a year and
okay.
need some form of assistance.
I think we should go on a break and let's see what we can quickly do to that audio.
Yeah,
because it's really bad. It's really bad. And we need to pick all the points. So we will go on a quick break. When we come back, hopefully everything is sorted. You're listening to Soul Sisters here on Smooth 98.1. And what we want to get to is the topic of assisted reproductive technology, just to clear some misconceptions and help you understand the topic better. You can join us, be on YouTube or be on Twitter, or even come to our WhatsApp line, which is 0809-444-0981. We'll be right back.
So we're offline now, right?
Yeah.
We're offline now. Okay, let me try and maybe earpiece.
Okay. All right.
It just feels good.
Are you ready to vote? Me, I'm voting for recovery.
Recovery. No, I am voting for the new face in town.
Ha! But what if after you vote for the new face, it doesn't win, and the bad choice ends up winning? Won't that be a waste of your votes?
It won't happen. And besides, I would rather waste my vote on him than vote for any other person, even they seem like a good choice.
Do not waste your vote. Look at how bad the country is now. Wasting your vote will only make matters worse. The fate of our nation lies in our hands. Let us come together and make the right choice.
A vote for PDP is a vote to recover Nigeria.
PDP!
Hello.
Let's see. Can you say something?
Can you hear me now?
Aha. Thank goodness. This is way better. All right. So we are on an ad break. When we come back in 2 minutes, we will go on. Okay. So some of the things.
It feels so convenient instead of. I feel more comfortable, with the earpiece.
Yeah, it is. It will feel good.
You can hear me now.
So yeah, we just want to get to the basics, know what ART means, then IVF2, just to define those terms, what ART is comprised of. If you say you are assisting a couple to have a baby, how are the ways, or what are the ways you assist them to have a baby? Then we talk, so I'm guessing that will lead us to IVF, and then we talk about when IVF becomes the option, or when the parents or the people need to be assisted. What are those things? Then we talk about the success rates of IVF, the factors that affect the success rates.
Can you just give me a rundown of that timeline you just said now?
You want to write it down, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so definitions.
Definition of ART?
Yeah, definitions of ART. Then success rates. Then definition of ART. I'm trying to see if I can send it to your phone.
No, just
all right.
Verbalize it down with you.
Definitions of IVF, ART, and every other thing involved. Then what are the success rates? Or before then, when does IVF become an option? Then success rate of IVF, factors affecting success rates, risk associated. Then general perception towards it in Nigeria. Then there's part where we have to touch a bit on cryptic pregnancy and pseudo pregnancy, and just help people understand the difference.
Okay.
Yeah. So just to allow the discussion flow, nothing too uptight.
All right.
Single sport will be
The Locker Room on the Smooth Breakfast, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8:15.
We will be fun.
And if you want to follow Tega and how she analyzes everything in such a fire manner, you should always tune into the Locker Room every Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday, 8:15 here on Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. Right
Hello?
now, you're tuning to Smooth.
Hello?
Yes, Soul
Yeah.
Sisters is the name of the show, and we are discussing assisted reproductive technology. You can join us and be a part of it in different ways. You can decide to send your messages on WhatsApp. You can decide to be on YouTube with us and use the live chat option. You can even tweet at us at Smooth91FM. That's the handle to tag on Twitter. Use the hashtag Soul Sisters 981. And my name is Oluwaseun, and I'm joined by Dr. Emmanuel Adeyeye this morning. So back to it now. Let's have a proper definition. I know the network was, or the audio was bad the other time. So let's have that definition of ART, assisted reproductive technology. What exactly is it? And what does it involve?
Okay, thank you for having me. Hope you can hear me better now. And I'll just dive straight into it, and I want to start a conversation by just defining what infertility is. So that'll give us an umbrella of understanding, and then we can explain as we trickle down into the rates and all those other topics. So basically, what's infertility? Infertility is the inability to achieve pregnancy within 1 year of regular coital exposure. And at that point, after a year of regular sex, timed intercourse, and all those minor in-house modifications, and you still can't achieve pregnancy, you will need to figure out why. And that will lead us into the pre-screening, so we call it pre-treatment screening. So the question is, a lot of different causes are implicated to the causes of infertility. And if you don't know the cause, you might not manage appropriately. So it can be as simple as a tubal blockage, and then you sit on that for years, say 20 years, and you just can't conceive because you have an issue as simple as tubal blockage. And then the good news with that is that we get a lot of patients with tubal blockages that we find out, and they almost always usually get pregnant. So what is ART? So ART is the assistance, and the truth is, most of it is tech related, and that's technology in the definition. And it is just the technologies employed or deployed to help a couple who has been unable to achieve pregnancy after a year of routine coitus. So coitus is simply sex. So for instance, you have a lady who stays in Lagos and her husband is based abroad, and they tend to see each other like twice in a year, the chance of getting pregnant in that kind of couple, even if the man is fine and the woman is fine, is very, very low, compared to someone who has sex 3 times a week at ease. You understand what I'm trying to say? So distance can be an issue in a non
Your audio is, I don't know what happened just now, but your audio is gone again. It's totally gone this time. I mean, I really can't even hear you at all. No, maybe your earpiece was pulled out or something. No, I can't hear anything. Okay, yeah, this is better. All right, good. Please go on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
So ART is just those technologies that we employ to help couples like that achieve pregnancy. And I was just using the example of a couple who live separately and how difficult it might be to achieve pregnancy. So if you see your wife just twice in a year, the question is, what are the chances that you are doing the right thing those limited times exposed to one another? So the technology part is very, very vast, and then the truth is, like I said, is tech related. It's just technology in medicine, and a lot of what we do right now is backed by research. So you might not really get comprehensive text about fertility and infertility, as the history, the 50-year history has just been about future forward breakthroughs in that field, And then a lot of all the trainings we have right now, the teachings are being reviewed almost every year, just to update and then do your researches, update your protocols. And then the idea is just to make sure that your patient gets what's the best for them with the most minimal exposure. So, for instance, husband is in South Africa, wife is in Lagos. Tubes are fine. There are natural factors like polyps or fibroid. Wife is fine. The husband has good normal sperm cells, but coital frequency is going to be an issue. In that kind of situation, the question is, would you still want to employ or deploy some kind of reproductive technology? Yes. Is the patient normal? Are the parameters fine? Yes, it is. But the major issue in that kind of couple will be distance, reduce coital frequency. So for that kind of couple, what do you want to do? What we like to do is, like I said, this space is a future forward taking medicine kind of space. And in that kind of couple, we can just easily get sperms from the husband, freeze those sperms, you can use the sperms for procedures like IUI. Those are also assisted reproductive technologies.
What's IUI?
Called intrauterine insemination.
Okay.
So what is IUI? It's just simply preparing the woman from the second day of her menses. And then the idea is that in the menstrual cycle of a woman to regular flow, she probably ovulate at mid-cycle. And what we simply do in IUI is give you some medications, to help you make more follicles. And then also on the background of that, and averagely, every woman of reproductive age every month, but just one of those eggs make it to ovulation. So it's more like one egg is going to survive on the other 19. You understand what I'm trying to say? And that will be your leading follicle. And by the time you have your leading follicle that's carrying the egg for that cycle, you ovulate at mid-cycle. The idea is to, and that's what we simply call timed intercourse. The idea would be that if you had sexual exposure a week before your ovulation or a week after, you might actually miss that window of having the spermid egg and then commencement of fertilization.
So they need to be helped in that case.
Exactly, even if the patients are absolutely normal. So how do you help them? It varies. So you can start with an IUI. And then how are you going to be doing the IUI? Don't forget you already have sperms frozen. And at the time where we begin to profile the lady, give her some medications to mature more eggs. Instead of maturing one that gets to ovulation, you might have about 3, 4. And that way, your chance of pregnancy is usually very high. When I mean high, it's still lower than IVF, where we get the eggs out of the woman's body, fertilize it with the sperm, watch them grow for 5 days. You don't have the opportunity in IUI. But like I said, the couple is normal, the tubes are fine. You know that if you inject your washed, prepared sperm, through the vagina, through the cervix, into the uterus at a particular time where, madam, the wife must have been on treatment for like 2 weeks. That's just trying to mimic the natural cycle that you ovulate at mid-cycle, which is 14 days. So you monitor her, grow more than one follicle, you trigger about 34 hours before you inseminate. And what that simply does is that you are going to ovulate naturally by yourself, but all of this is happening inside the woman's body. And then you inject your sperms. Sperms swim through tubes to meet the eggs, and then the union is what we call fertilization of egg and sperm. That product now finds its way back through the tube back into the uterus. So I'm giving this example because, first of all, in a lady who has been diagnosed with bilateral tubal blockage, she will not be a candidate for IUI. Understand what I'm trying to say? And the idea is you want to deploy the least possible intervention to help them achieve pregnancy. So I'm saying so because in this same couple, you can still do IVF, but in this part of the world where finance is an issue, there's no health insurance, you still try to be as cost conservative, which represent as possible. And that will lead me now to the success rate. So the success rate in IUI are not as beautiful as success rate in IVF.
Okay, maybe before you move to IUI, I know you have explained for the sake of somebody who's listening and the person has no medical knowledge whatsoever, we just want to take it in bits. So we understand now that intrauterine insemination, which is IUI, which is under ART, that's assisted reproductive technology, is when you help to take the sperm so that it can fertilize that of the woman in the woman's body. But IVF now, before you go to the success rates of both of them, help us again break down into bits what IVF is, because I realize that as much as we throw those things around and it looks like it's everywhere these days, not everyone has a good grip of the definition.
So IVF simply means in vitro fertilization. In vitro simply means dish, and that's just the idea. You get this egg from the woman, you put it in a dish with the man's sperm, and then you watch them interact. And then the interaction outside the body develop into embryos after 5 days of fertilization. And that embryo is what you now transfer back into the woman at the time to become pregnant. So, so like I said, in ART, we have the IUI. So there are like 3 different modalities. You have IUI without gonadotropins. You have IUI with gonadotropins, and then you have IVF, where we actually use gonadotropins. So
what are gonadotropins?
Gonadotropins are just, so for instance, gonadotropins is what is responsible for your menstrual cycle.
Okay.
Your menses, your pituitary relationship with ovary, and then you begin to recruit.
That audio again.
How about that now?
No. So let's quickly take a break. We'll be back and hopefully everything is settled by then. It's like everything is just trying not to allow us to have this conversation, but we will, and you can be a part of it. We'll be right back.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. So we'll take you now.
This is Mr. C, and you're listening to Smooth.
So I needed to go on a quick ad break, and your audio was trying to be village people this morning.
I think I have to disconnect and connect over and over. I mean the earpiece.
This is actually, this is clear.
Unemployed and broken. Why?
Don't miss the new drama series, Hoorah, where everything is fair game. Watch as Hoorah does whatever it takes to own it all, only on Showmax. Sign up now at showmax.com.
Start the new year right. File your company's tax returns on time. To all employers of labor in Lagos, you have till 31st January 2023 to file your company's annual tax returns. Visit etax.nirs.net and log into your eTax profile using your company's taxpayer ID and password. Select the returns module, then returns type, and download the appropriate template. Click on
Funnily enough, we have about 20 more minutes for the conversation. So I guess we'll just have to skim through for now.
Annual tax returns on or before the 31st of January 2023 is a contravention of the extant provisions of the Personal Income Tax Amendment Act 2011, which attracts stiff penalties on defaulters. For more inquiries, call 0700 2255 5477 or visit www.nirs.gov.au.
Yes, I can. It's still good for now. It's like it's when we get back on air that the village will kick in.
keeps us up and strength.
It's a new dawn in Nigeria. The firmament portends a bright future as the people of Nigeria move to vote a man whom they have come to trust. That man is Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Vote Bola Tinubu as president of Nigeria. Vote Kashim Shettima as vice president. Vote APC.
Hope you can still hear me.
Good. So we have 25 more seconds to come back.
Solutions that help them deliver prompt quality service to their customers. Smart solutions like the Airtel Smart Box that provides unlimited high-speed internet connection for up to 33 devices with 240 gigabyte free data. The Smart 2. Visit any Airtel store now or send an email to smartbox@ng.airtel.com to get started. Airtel.
Okay, we're coming back.
This is Smooth 90.
And we welcome you to join the conversation here on Soul Sisters on Smooth 98.1. We are discussing assisted reproductive technology. Right before the break, we got to understand what ART means and then what IUI under ART. That is intrauterine insemination. It is when the sperm is made to, well, with controlled conditions, to fertilize the egg in the woman. Now let's move over to what in vitro fertilization is, which is still under ART.
Okay, so IVF fertilization is happening outside the body. And you remember when I mentioned that an average lady of reproductive age may recruit about 20 eggs averagely.
Yes.
And just one of those eggs make it up to ovulation, and ovulation, fertilization, and then implantation, which progresses into pregnancy. So IVF simply means that those other 19 eggs that naturally degenerate every cycle are given the opportunity to grow.
Mm.
So instead of having one egg in that cycle, we can get up to 20 eggs. And then remember that this fertilization is happening outside the body. And at the end of the 5th day, we are transferring babies back. So we call them embryos at that stage. So basically, like I said, IUI without gonadotropins, young couple, unexplained infertility, or maybe who live separately and husband is not always around. You just get those sperms to prepare the lady because AMH, anti-Mullerian hormone, which is the marker for fertility, is right. There are no fibroids in the uterus. There are no polyps. The tube is fine. You might not need any other support than just working her up for the insemination. And then you have ladies who are almost above 35, and then 35 is the golden age here. By the time a lady naturally clocks 35, the fertility rate begins to drop drastically. And I'm saying so because if you want to do step reduction in a 35-year-old lady with no uterine factors and patent tubes, you might want to give her some gonadotropins to just help her make more eggs. You get what I'm trying to say? I wouldn't be worried about the number of eggs in the younger lady, less than 30, like I would be in a lady above 35. So those gonadotropins just simply gives you the opportunity to make more and then prepare more against your insemination at the time of the IUI. So in IVF, like I said, you begin to give the lady low to high doses of gonadotropins depending on your pre-treatment parameters. And I mentioned earlier, one of the major key in determining how you're going to dose your patient or what is the safe dose for the patient is to know what the AMH is. So with increasing age, AMH drops,
What's AMH?
Called anti-Mullerian hormone.
Okay.
And as the lady grows older, it drops. And if AMH is down, it means ovarian reserve is down. Ovarian reserve simply means the number of left on that ovary.
Audio. I think you can say something now.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I have to take it out and start it again.
All right then.
Okay, so where was I? Sorry.
You will on AMH how it drops.
How AMH drops with increasing age, and once you do that in your pre-treatment screening, you can use that to tailor your dose and then best way to manage your patient. So in a lady under 30, good AMH for IUI, I might not need to give her anything, but if you get a lady above 35 with low AMH, something, the normal value is about 1.1, and for instance, you have a 40-year-old lady with AMH of 0.4.
Mm.
And then you want to do IUI for her, you might want to place her on some gonadotropins. And then if she's that age and then you're doing IVF for her, because at that age, IVF is actually what's best because of the number of eggs you're going to get. And then it is, IVF is simply a game of numbers. The more eggs you have, the more good quality eggs you have. The more good quality eggs you have, the higher your chance at achieving pregnancy is. So a 40-year-old lady comes here, she's been married for 5, 10 years, and her tubes are fine. For instance, in this case, maybe she is a male factor infertility. And then for the record, I just want to mention that, based on traditional concept in this part of the world, where we all believe it's usually always the lady who has a problem. Because of her inability to conceive, which is actually wrong. And then the truth is, we both contribute equally, both male and female. And then the third portion of that, about 20%, is unexplained. So unexplained simply means from your pre-treatment screening, the wife is fine, husband is fine, but you still can achieve pregnancy, So that's that there. And so a 40-year-old lady, husband, low sperm count, male factor, tube is fine, no polyps, no fibroid. You put on medications, low to high doses of gonadotropin. She gives you 20 eggs. That's just 20 eggs outside the body. Let's say you make about 8 embryos from that. 8 embryos is going to be different from you putting on medications and tracking 2 follicles, for your IUI. And even after you do those trackings and trigger, you really are still not sure about fertilization occurring. So there's a lot of blind spots there that we have control over in IVF because we are seeing the embryos develop, we are seeing the babies form, and then we can even create them and transfer the best of the best into
So does that mean that the success rate for IVF is way higher than natural fertilization?
Obviously, yes. So IUI alone, is not as good as doing IUI gonadotropins. The chances might be higher because you're going to get more follicles, more eggs, you get me? There's an increased chance to achieve pregnancy. And then in IVF, IVF has one of the highest chances of pregnancy with a global range of about 50%, and then the truth is natural conception, young couple, chance of achieving pregnancy every cycle is less than 20%. And then your chance of achieving pregnancy with IUI is also just a little bit better. While in IVF, where everything is happening outside the body, you can give your patient the guarantee of a 50 to 60% chance. So now this varies from center to center. Like I said, IVF is research based, and the truth is, a lot of people do a lot of things that are not proven to the chances of pregnancy.
I didn't hear that. A lot of people do what?
A lot of centers do a lot of procedures that are not guaranteed to increase the chance of pregnancy.
Things like what?
Okay, so for instance, from the kind of medications you use, for your stimulation and the state of your lab, you understand, and also for male factor infertility I mentioned earlier, a lot of centers don't have resources to tackle that. You feel me? And then the way out of that is going to be what we call ICSI simply means intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So what that simply means in an IVF setting, of it, this is only done in IVF. You can't do it in IUI because eggs are still in the body in IUI. But in IVF, when you get the eggs out, and for instance, you have a male factor, maybe low sperm count, easily access those sperms under the microscope and pick the best of them. Unlike the conventional IVF, where you just put it, eggs and sperm in a dish and then hope that it fertilize. So what ICSI does for you, it just makes it more specific, And then the truth is, in a lot of centers where you don't have the technology for ICSI, probably put you on supplement for a long period, suggest a lot of adjunct therapy that are not proven to help increase your chance at fertility. But what I'm just trying to say is, with the way technology is right now, we really do not worry so much about male factor infertility anymore. And ICSI has done that for us, And then the idea is that as long as you make sperms, no matter how abnormal they are, not all of them will be bad. With ICSI, it's easy to just get about 20 good sperms to fertilize 20 great eggs. And
okay.
That being said, your male factor is not going to be an issue. You're going to fertilize your eggs, to get good embryos, and then you can now transfer babies back into the womb. So success rate is hinged on the way you manage your patient. You understand what I'm trying to say? So different centers, different protocols.
So in other words, the amount of technology at your disposal really affects the success rate.
Yes, and remember I said it is a tech space, and then you are beginning to see that AI is coming into this discipline too. And then what that simply does for you is to help increase your chances based on the parameters you get, air quality, sperm quality, and then put all of this together to predict the best way to manage your patients and help them achieve pregnancy. And then, from experience.
Let me just jump in there because we need to take another break, the final break, actually. When we come back, we're going to take your thoughts and then start to wrap things up. You're listening to Soul Sisters here on Smooth 98.1. 8.1. So listeners are complaining about the network, that they are struggling so hard to hear you. It's why sometimes I always prefer being in studio, but your schedule does not allow that. Can you hear me? I didn't hear you. I can't hear anything. Do you want to say something now?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I said, listeners, I've got messages saying that your network is, and they can't hear you. So I said, it's one of the reasons I always prefer in-person interviews, but your schedule does not seem to give room for that. So
always work it out.
Yeah, because there was a lot of things I was hoping we could touch on, but right now we have just about 7 more minutes to the end of the show.
Why?
So
I was trying to recommend to you that it's best in a series, because there's a lot of explanations, and
I don't mind a series, but if we're going to do a series, it can't be.
We'll have to do some in person, yeah.
I don't mind a series at all because the aim is to break it down and help people understand more. But if we're trying to break it down and spend time on it and we're not catching the point, it'll be counterproductive.
Applicant tracking system that allows you to filter and short.
Yeah, no pressure at all. Whenever it's okay for you.
www.jobberman.com.
So once we come back, I think we just talk about the fact that affected race.
Worry about hospital bills.
Okay, so
perception is the whole topic on its own. Don't worry.
You said?
Other things. They can help me provoke my
There's something I would like us to touch on while we talk about
Also,
factors
give me
affecting the
access to
success
over
rates. There is that
1,700
notion that
companies
once
and
you have,
freedom
you know,
to
how
switch
someone is really
whenever.
desperate to have a
So in
baby,
control of my
and they've tried
finances
different
and
options,
alcohol,
natural or spiritual, and then they finally turn to IVF. They want to get it right. They want to have a baby at the first cycle. It doesn't always work that way. So what do they do? All right, we're coming back in.
This is Smooth 98.1.
We're discussing assisted reproductive technology and soul sisters this morning. We've struggled a little bit with the network. We hope that you've been able to pick at least a thing or two from today's conversation. Do not worry, we'll have another session about this because there is a lot we need to break down. The aim is to educate you and help you understand better the things surrounding fertility. And I think by now we should all be on the same page that infertility is not just a woman's thing. We have the male factor and the female factor, and also the third one, which is unexplainable reasons. Yeah. So, but now we are trying to understand some factors affecting the success rate of in vitro fertilization, which is IVF. And my guest is Dr. Adeyeye Emmanuel. So back to you, the thought you wanted to give before the break.
So just talking about the factors, and like I said, it's a spectrum, and the most important factor here would be age, the woman's age, and it's just, the window of period from commencement of menses to the cessation of menses, which we call menopause, and that's what we call the natural clock of a woman. And, from my examples, I gave you an initial example for the IUI, where you might have to do for a couple who live separately, So age, example now, for that same couple, the second example I gave you, 40-year-old. Yes.
Sorry.
So 40-year-old.
Okay.
For instance, 40-year-old with male factor, like I said, age is the most important factor in that case. And then the truth is that 40, is a race against time.
Okay. Let's go to that part where the couple, after trying different ways, so they've tried the natural, maybe they've eaten different things, they've changed their diet, they've gone the spiritual way, they have done different things, prayed, and they finally turned to IVF, which we both know is not a cheap option. We'll touch on that later on, definitely not today because we do not have the time. So finally, they were able to gather some few millions for their IVF. And it is normal that they go into it with the, I want to have a baby. This is going to become a baby. And you mentioned something about 50 to 60% success rate compared to the natural fertilization.
At my center, and it's just simply because of how we do what we do. And I can tell you that we do a lot of things differently.
So does it guarantee that the first cycle will be a success? Because we have had many cases in which the couple go to it the first time and they failed, second time, third time. So what happens then? And what perception should they go into that procedure with?
I mentioned once a woman comes to you like that, it's a race against time, and the idea is to get her pregnant in the shortest possible period of time. And so the way I'm going to manage a 40-year-old is going to be different from how I'm going to manage a 3-year-old lady who has been married for just 1 year. And then talking about the chances, the management protocol is going to be different. So for instance, let me just use the 40-year-old lady as a case scenario here. So a 40-year-old lady comes, male factor infertility, she's been married for years. And then in your pre-treatment screening, you see that her AMH is average, that's 0.8. And then what that simply means is that you can give her a chance at being stimulated. So for instance, if you see a 40-year-old who is in what we call premature ovarian failure, so that is simply getting to menopause before the ideal age, which is 45 to 50 years old. So if you see a 40-year-old borderline premature ovarian failure, you might begin to think about a donor cycle.
What's a donor cycle?
So a donor cycle simply means you are working up a younger lady, usually below 30 years of age, with better ovarian reserves, and then you're going to be fertilizing that donor's eggs, which is going to be averagely about 20 to be collected, with the patient husband's sperm, which has a background history of low sperm count. But I told you that with the ICSI technology, we really don't
Hold
have.
on. I just want to confirm. So another woman's eggs. So let's say Mr. A and Mr. B want to have a baby. They decided to turn to IVF. Mrs.
Yes,
A
at
is,
40,
yeah,
and the ovarian
exactly.
reserve is not excellent.
So Mrs. A needs to go to Miss C to collect
No,
eggs.
Mrs. A don't go to Miss C. We as
Okay.
a hospital, it's best done in an anonymous timeline. So the idea is there should be no known relationship between the recipient, who is the 40-year-old lady, who is probably premenopausal, and
But is she aware?
Who is aware?
Mrs. A will be aware that they're going to be
That's what I'm
using a
saying.
donor.
So, yeah, exactly. I'm saying she comes into this clinic, we run our pre-treatment screenings, and EMH is not fantastic. I'll be
Okay.
talking to the patient right there and then, counseling her about the possibilities of using our medications and how that chance almost doubles when we are trying to stimulate a younger lady to get eggs from her, fertilize her husband's sperm, and then transfer into Mrs. A.
Okay.
In an anonymous setting. So the hospital sources for the donor, you counsel the patient about that. And yeah, most of the time, there's a lot of bias. But truth is, parameters are what the parameters are. You get what I'm trying to say? If the EMH is not so good, no matter how high the dose of stimulation meds I give you, you might not respond. And so, for instance, fertility in Africa, say, is in a pre-boom phase, where a lot of women of color would prefer to come back to Africa for this treatment because of the stringent policies in the westernized countries, and the fact that the Westerners don't even believe that a Black woman ideally should have a fertility issue. So there's a lot of bureaucracy in that space for Black women in the diaspora, so they prefer to come in. So, for instance, that 40-year-old lady you're trying to analyze now, say she's coming in from Mexico, and she'll probably have about 3 weeks to be in Nigeria for our treatment protocol. And I'm saying 3 weeks because all our treatments should not take more than 3 weeks. And I'm saying so because, I say the outcome is specific to your center. However, a lot of centers won't treat you in that short period of time because it's probably going to cost them more money. You get what I'm trying to say? And, it's going to cost them more money, and then they can save more on supplies. But we don't do that. We treat you as you come. So for that lady that, working out from Mexico in Africa for 3 weeks, she's 40, her EMG is also fantastic. And in that kind of case, finance is not usually the issue. So what is usually best for that kind of patient to maximize that timeline and then make sure that we don't get stranded in that protocol where after 6 weeks of giving us gone and then have to cancel the cycle. What we normally do is what we call the donor backup cycle.
Your audio is gone again. And not just that, we actually need to go now. So this is me really hoping that we are able to get you into the studio.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, because we're out of time and we need to go now. So I am seriously hoping that the next time we'll continue this conversation because there is a lot to be said, a whole lot. So the next time we'll continue this conversation, you will be in the studio so that we avoid audio and network issues.
Errors, yeah.
So we really work on that. But thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for taking time out of your schedule. I hear all the doctor calls, beeps, and everything, wanting you to go back to work. Thank you for your time. So we'll continue this some other time.
If there's any last like a closing remark,
Okay.
for our listeners would be, fertility does not just affect the woman, contribute equally to cause of infertility. And then the truth is, you need to find answers at the right places, because it's very, very easy to get into the wrong hands. And if you get into the wrong hands, it's not just about the money, it's about the emotions and then the time that goes with it, So get yourself a reliable practitioner, couples should be more supportive. And then lastly, a pre-treatment fertility screening is not going to harm anybody. And then the truth is just, find out the cause. If you're married for more than 1 year, find out the cause of why you're not able to achieve pregnancy. And from finding out the causes, there are enormous solutions, to any extent, we have all of that in Africa right now. And yeah, it's just help you get pregnant.
Thank you very much. I really do appreciate this. We will continue, definitely. There is a lot I want to learn and understand about the topic. I've already gotten the heads up about it, but we'll continue. Well, thank you again to all who were listening, despite the audio coming in and out. I see your messages. I will respond to them. Thank you. On the other side, you'll listen to the news, and after which you'll listen to more soul songs here on Smooth 98.1.
98.1. In a city where money,
oh boy,
power unlock doors.
Damn. So someone is asking for your contact, how they can follow you. What do you want me to give them?
Well, I'm everywhere,
Your Instagram, is that okay?
Inline. Instagram is fine. You can always reach out on Instagram. I'll respond as soon as I can.
All right, then. So I'll give you an Instagram page.
As safer, not so invasive.
All right, then. Thank you so much. Let me allow you to get back to work.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
I look forward to having you in the studio.
I can't wait for myself. And then the idea is just to democratize this knowledge and then just.
Is that a baby?
No.
Okay.
70% energy, no matter the number.
Plans to democratize knowledge and then just advise couples to just find out why it can be as little as PCOS. That is fixable with medications, no surgeries. And just find out why. And by the time you find out why, regardless of the causes, there is always a way around it. Like I said, technology has made possibility in this space nothing, as we can get away with everything as long as we actually know what the cause is and the couples are mentally ready to get the right treatment.
All right, then. Thank you. You do realize that your number is on your Instagram page, right? It is.
But Clevy Hospital, anytime, and we just opened the center now. Fertility center. That's where I'm calling from right now.
It is now possible.
Yeah. So it's not the ideal Clevy Hospital address, but we are just around the same space. Where I am is just 5 minutes from the main hospital, and then we still shuffle both center. Yeah, and they did fibroid surgeries there, we did the CS, and they did the laparoscopic surgeries there too. Yeah, it's just fertility, egg collections, lipometries.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.